Mabuhay, Kamustika, welcome. How are you? This is Bob from Love Beyond the Sea. I've done better. This video is um, about a special event. Certainly the first time that my wife and I have been apart for 3 years. She's on her way to the Philippines right now, and for just over 3 years, we were together every day, and this will be our first time apart, and both of us are missing each other, and we've spent a lot of time together, since she immigrated here in January of 2016, and she left this morning for Detroit, left from Omaha, and that's like a 2 hour flight, not very long, hour and a half layover, and then she's got a 13 and a half hour flight, excuse me, from Detroit to Tokyo, and then she's got a 3 hour layover, and then she's got to go another 5 hour flight from Tokyo to Manila, and I think she'll get there about 9:30 in the evening, Philippines time. But from what I understand, she can't leave until like 4:30 in the morning from Manila to fly to Davao, which is a 2 hour flight, and then 1 hour taxi. So it seems I should be leaving about 6 o'clock in the morning here in the United States on a Tuesday and getting to Davao around 7 in the morning on a Thursday. So that's a lot of time right there used up in her travels. But I don't know about you. I like to follow my wife's whereabouts on a flight tracker. If I can find one that doesn't make me download a bunch of stuff. But I know she's got about 6 hours and 40 minutes to go. She'll be in our time here in the Midwest. She'll be there about 12:35 in the morning. I might try to stay up just to hear from her that she landed safely, which is always my biggest concern. Her going to home and coming back is 8 flights. And this will be, I think, the third time that she's been there. I mean, flown to the Philippines. I think twice with me, and then once this time by herself. And of course, she had to fly. So I think she's had like 32 or 36 flights already, in the 3 years and 8 months that we've been married. So she hadn't flown before, but she's really good getting around the airport, so that's good. One other reason I'll miss her, I have sleep paralysis. I always have had sleep paralysis as long as I can remember being able to sleep, where I'll wake up when I shouldn't be. At least my mind will wake up and I can see what's going on, but I can't move because I wake up too soon. The body is still paralyzed, and it usually involves some kind of a nightmare. Even happened last night. Sometimes it happens 2 times in a night, and it's happened 3 times in a night since she's been here. But fortunately, she can either slap my mouth or push me in the shoulder and wake me up, and then I feel perfectly fine after that. But it's just a scary thing when you can't move and you're awake, and in your dream it's always something bad. You can't see it and you can't move. That's why you're struggling and waking up, shouting or screaming because you're trying to desperately wake yourself up, or a neighbor or anybody. You're in your mind, you want to wake you up because you're scared to death. And it happens very frequently. The doctor says it's never killed anyone. But I don't know. I can see being older and giving yourself a heart attack because these dreams are very scary. But I'll have to get by without her like I did for many years before her. But I'm so used to having her around. It's going to be a bummer. Hopefully I can communicate with her once a day, probably in the morning here when it's the end of her day over there in the Philippines. So that's just where we're at today. It's kind of a dreary day for me with her not being here. So Filipinas make wonderful wives, and we got married very quickly, and it seems to me like we've always been together. I've always been comfortable around her, worried kind of when I first met her what it was going to be like, and it was like nothing. It was like we'd always been. It was a seamless transition to have a relationship with her, and she's been an amazing wife. And now, unfortunately, we have to be apart for a couple of weeks, which I don't like. I consider Aiza my best friend, but she's going over to buy things for the house that we have. If you're not familiar with Love Beyond the Sea, started this channel about 9 months ago. It's to help foreigners who are interested in a Filipina. I think they can still make great wives. Don't believe everything you hear about how you're just going to get scammed. That can happen anywhere. But if you find a good person, that's not going to happen. And if you're a good person to them in return, then you should be good to go. So we'll just have to see. I don't know. Try to get by without her, but it'll be kind of lonely, I guess, and not looking forward to it. But that's just where she is now. She's about 6 hours and 40 minutes away from landing in Tokyo, and I've made these flights with her a couple times, and it's good to have company when you're on a plane for that long. We're going to be going back hopefully in December of 2019. For both of us will be there for over Christmas and New Year's in Davao City. A very safe place, and pretty easy to get to if you're trying to find a Filipina. It's not very hard to get there. It's just a lot of flights, but the airports are available. I don't have to take ferries and go somewhere in the jungle somewhere. So that's about it. I'll just figure out what to do here without my wife, for the first time in 3 years. So all I can do right now is just get online and track the whereabouts of my love beyond the sea.